Thanks for watching Media Week. Time now for a check on the ratings for week 21. A look at the free-to-air top 10 first, James, and State of Origin there. We were speaking about this last week. Always a blockbuster for 9.
Yeah, we mentioned that did very well. 2 games still to come. That was the most watched Origin game ever. So, yeah, they'll be expecting big things.
Yeah, even the pre-match there, and just turning the page, and the block also doing good numbers for 9, and Downton Abbey.
Yeah, Downton Abbey, probably not as high as I think from the charts we were getting last year. It was probably number 1 for a few weeks, but it's still up there.
OK, let's have a look at the top 5 sport programs on subscription TV for week 21 there. AFL, NRL dominating for Fox Footy and Fox Sports 2. And looking at the non-sport, Grand Designs Australia for Lifestyle at number 1.
Yep.
James, plenty of news about. I wanted to ask you about 10 announcing finally the time slot for the much talked about Being Lara Bingle program, and it's got a prime time slot.
Yeah, well, it was always going to go on prime time. I think the question was which night. They sort of had earmarked it for Thursdays, I think. They've moved it up to Tuesday, which is a bit more of a night you're going to get big audiences. I think they're pretty confident about how it's going to go. A lot of people are a bit negative about it, thinking, you know, are there people interested? But I think some people are underestimating the actual interest in Lara Bingle. I know a lot of people are a bit obsessed about her, and even if you don't have to like her, but you might be interested in seeing what's going on. There's certainly a lot of worse stuff you could be watching on TV.
And some of the betting agencies are tipping, you know, that this is going to draw 1 million viewers. What do you think? I mean, is it going to translate into good ratings?
Look, I think week 1 will do pretty well. Depending on how that goes, how many people will come back, that's anybody's guess. But I think there should be a good turnout of at least, you know, just curious people to seeing what happens.
Some other news as well. Granada Media has sold the format The Audience to 10.
Yeah, there was a bit of talk that it might have been going to 7, but 10 have snapped it up. I'm not sure, there might have been a bit of a bidding war or something, but everyone's out looking for hot formats, and this one's got a bit of a buzz about it. It's a bit of a weird show. I think the person gets chosen on the show who's having a bit of a crisis in their life, and there's a crowd of people that give them advice on what to do and follow them around everywhere they go, and they get their feedback and making decisions. It sounds pretty interesting. It could be a challenge to make it, but if they pull it off, it could be good. And
The Voice has a spin-off, The Voice Kids.
Yeah, The Voice Kids. 9 isn't saying anything about it at the moment because, you know, they'd probably want to do it, you know, but then again, they'd be very careful. I mean, you look at Junior MasterChef, did fantastic in its first year, but gee, it sort of dropped off really badly in year 2, and they're not doing one in year 3. So, you know, you'd have to be careful with this brand. But 9 would definitely be expressing interest in doing it to the owners of the format. That's for sure.
Now, 7 West Media CEO David Leckie's had some time off. He's been on leave. When's he expected back?
He's due back any day. They didn't say when, but it's really his first long break in about. He's been actually 7 for 9 years now. So, you know, it's zoomed by pretty quickly, hasn't it? It seems the other day he was at 9, he got a bit of time off in between, then he joined 7, I think, 2003. So he's had 9 long years and his first bit of a break off. But you expect him to come back energised and wanting to really, you know, take it up the opposition for the rest of the year.
Now, we've been hearing a lot about the Diamond Jubilee, filling a lot of magazine pages certainly this week. Do you think that this is going to carry over into lots of TV too then, and a ratings bonanza for all the networks and subscription, like the Royal Wedding?
I think this is another thing people underrate, the interest in the royal family, you know, and it's going to be a pretty big deal, this on the. I think it pretty much starts from Saturday. I think Sky News are going to be all over it, and it's going to be on APAC as well. Sadly, no HD channel this year, which they did during the wedding, which was really nice. But so there's going to be plenty of coverage, plenty of pomp and ceremony. I think it'll do well. The magazines are already monetising it. Women's Weekly's had a special out, the lift-outs in Women's Day and New Idea this week. So, yeah, I think there'll be a bit of buzz. I think the Today Show and Sunrise for 7 and 9, they're going to be all over it as well.
Just wanted to ask you too, sorry, Mel Gibson, he's actually bypassed cinema and he's releasing his new film straight to pay TV in the US. Do you think we'll see this? Is this the start of a trend, or is this to do with Mel Gibson?
Some might be saying, well, the cinema bypassed Mel Gibson, I'm not sure. But yeah, a lot of people are trying this direct to the consumer now. You know, is it the way of the future? Quite possibly. But the traditional means of, you know, delivering content are still pretty valid and still earn the the content owed are, you know, reasonable sort of money. But the sort of, you know, holy grail, if you like, is the content maker going straight to the consumer, and, you know, we'll see more of it in years to come.
One to watch. Now, the Leveson inquiry goes on. The former British Prime Minister Tony Blair appeared this week. Did we learn much about his relationship with Rupert Murdoch?
Yeah, we did a bit. I mean, he talked about, I mean, he's known as being, I think he's the godfather of one of Rupert Murdoch's children, and he said, look, that would have never happened, you know, from our relationship when I was in office. He said the friendship really blossomed, if you like, after he left office. So, yeah, he said became good friends with him afterwards. He was, you know, associated with it. There wasn't a lot of detail of but he said, look, nothing, you know, improper happened during our meetings while I was PM.
Inside Out magazine, it's appointed a new editor. Yeah,
Claire Bradley's taken over there. Formerly ran the Sunday magazine. So we talked about Inside Out lost their editor a couple of weeks ago. It's a bit of a gem within that News Life Media magazine stable, but it certainly needs a bit of a polish, and she could be the person to do it.
Just turning to radio, ACMA is investigating Carl Sandilands again, this time over comments about the spider baby. What's he said, and what could be the ramifications of this?
Well, it was a baby, I'm not sure the exact detail, but born with a couple of abnormalities, and I think he commented about it, he called it the spider baby, he had a bit of a laugh, and you know, just a bit of an offhand comment. I'm not sure why ACMA's picked up on this, either from listener complaints or they thought, look, we've got Today FM's on a bit of a short lease, we'll sort of investigate, you know, what's going on here. We'll probably get some more detail when Chris Chapman from the ACMA's on the show in a couple of weeks' time, but I don't think there's a lot in this one.
Just turning to Seal, not just popular from The Voice, he's now joined the new Smooth FM.
Yeah, we heard about them last week, of course, and gee, they've got a bit of a stable of stars, haven't they? You know, Michael Bublé got endorsed the channel, did a TVC for them, has got a weekend show. Now they've got Seal doing weekends, so yeah, things are going pretty well. And if all that stuff means much in the ratings, we could see a bit of a bump for them eventually. And
just finally, former 10 Adelaide News reader Belinda Hagen is now joining 5AA.
Yep, taking over from Amanda Blair. Amanda's been a bit of a stalwart of the Adelaide radio industry, great FM broadcaster, probably a decade ago, switched across to AM radio. Afternoon talk is the hardest slot on a AM station to do, but she's sort of held that for, I don't know, it must be 7, 8 years, I'm guessing, but something like that, maybe a bit longer. So she's stepping back, wants to spend some more time with the sort of still young family she's got, so handing over.
Thanks for that, James. Well, just time for a check on the media sector's performance on the share market this week. Here's Chris Weston from IG Markets.
Yeah, good afternoon, Bridie. I think News Corp's quite an interesting stock at the moment. We've been talking about it for some time. The stock's had a good week. It's up 2.3%, trading at $20.19. I've been talking positively about this company for quite some time. The deterioration we've seen in the Aussie and the Euro against the greenback has been certainly a big contributing factor. It's a very strong play as a derivative against that weakness there, dollar strength. And I think, you know, if you're looking at the 52-week high at $20.58, that still seems to be a very strong target. Now, Goldman Sachs this week have come out and put News Corp as well on their conviction buy list. A number of different factors, but they say their earnings are structural in nature as opposed to being leveraged on the US economy, which could really go backwards if we do see Europe going to the dogs, which looks like it's started to see. But they've suggested that over the next 3 years they see about 23% EPS growth. If you look at the valuation at the moment, you're looking at a company that is having this kind of really strong EPS growth, but at the same time its price earnings is the lower quartiles of their peer group at the moment. So that seems to be a stand-up stock doing very well again. Carsales.com is another company that they've put on their conviction buy list this week. They said it's the #1 pick in the auto online section at the moment. If you look at advert spend at the moment, it's about 58% going onto print. Now we see that migration back onto the online side of things. This is the company that stands to gain the most out of that, so they've upgraded that stock to their conviction buy list. It's another one you can have a look at. We've also seen JP Morgan cutting their assumptions for advertising spend this year to around 0.6% for the calendar year. That's down from 3.5%. As a result, they've actually had to downgrade the earnings, the EBITDA assumptions, the earnings before interest, tax, deduction and amortisation, and they've actually put that around 116 million for the full year. Now that takes them well below consensus. They've also done the same thing for Fairfax, down to around about 497 million. What does that mean? It means that other brokers will probably likely to cut up, and we're likely to see consensus downgrades coming through in in the near term. Going on Fairfax, it's been very interesting. This week it's actually had a really good week. I mean, it's traded down to 62.5 cents. We've seen a triple bottom there. That seems to be a very big buy zone at the moment for Fairfax. Despite what we've seen with all the walk-offs, the strikes, all the information we've seen about Gina Ridehart, the stock's had a good gain. It traded up to 67 cents this week. Really failed to break above that, and it seems to be sort of holding up there. 67.5 cents for me on a technical basis. If we get a close above that level, then you can start getting a little bit more excited about that. That's the 15th of May high. It's also the 23% retracement of the February to May sell-off as well. So get a close above 67.5 cents. I think you can look to buy into that strength as well. APN's had a pretty tough week. It's traded from 78 cents down to 75 cents. So you're looking down about 4% for the week. So not a particularly good week. But yeah, again, I mean, this isn't a clear downtrend at the moment. You get a closing break above 78 cents, and perhaps we're going to see some further upside for APN.
So that's all the goings on for media stocks. James, just finally, back to TV, wanted to ask you about the Hamish and Andy show. When is it starting?
Gap year. There was some speculation they might move it out of Thursdays, but it's coming back, staying Thursday nights, 8 o'clock, starting June 14. Right,
one to watch. James, thank you as always for that. James Manning, the editor and publisher of Mediaweek. Well, that's all we have time for from the team here. Thanks for your company.